Hey you guys, it's Peter and welcome to my channel, Peter Likes Books. And I am doing a video that I should have done about 3 weeks ago, and that video is my March wrap-up. And I've been trying to do a wrap-up video every month this year because I'm not doing a review after each book that I read. To be honest, I just was like, I'm so tired of doing, in the last couple years, I really felt like I should do a review after every book that I read out of consideration, for the writer and the author so that they could and I know none of them are listening to my reviews. None of them are, they're like, who, what, we don't care. And those are typically videos that nobody really enjoys anyway, because if you've already read the book, then you don't really want to talk about it or hear somebody else talk about it. And if you haven't read the book, then you don't want it spoiled for you. So then you have to do spoiler-free reviews, and it's just a mess. And I was like, you know what? I'm not doing them anymore. I don't care. And I'm not even writing reviews on Goodreads anymore. Like, every once in a while, I'll be like, wow, this book was really good. But I'm not even going in there anymore and putting my full review. For a long time, I would give it so many stars and I'd be like, this book was fantastic, loved it so much. My full review will be up on I'm not even putting that anymore. I'm just not. I'm just like, rate it, give it the star rating. Because I am just loving reading so much. I'm literally whipping through a book every 2 to 3 days at this point. It's crazy. And I have so far, for the year of 2020, I cannot believe this, I've read 32 books. I'm trying to read 8 books a month, which equals about 100 books at the end of the year. This is my year to read 100 books. I've wanted to read 100 books. I know for some people, they're like, what's the deal with 100 books? It's not that many books. But for the last couple years, I've wanted to read 100 books a year, and I haven't hit it. So this is going to be my year to read 100 books. I'm listening to an audiobook right now, which is Grady Hendrix. It's his newest book that just came out, and it's called The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. It is so fantastic. I can already tell you, even though I'm not done with it, I'm going to give it 5 stars. And it's 13 hours and 49 minutes on Audible, and I listened to it in 2 days, 2.5 days. And so that will be my 33rd book, which I'm almost done with. It is absolutely amazing. I have been so blessed this year. It's just every book I read has been phenomenal. I mean, there's been a few duds in there that I'm just I didn't like this as much as, I thought I would. But every book has kind of kept me entertained to some degree. So I want to go in here. I was going to do March and April together and just do it next week when April was over. But then it would be 16 books, and I thought that's a lot. Now, this is going to be a little bit shorter than I thought it would be because when I went in here, at the beginning, something happened, and I'll explain it to you. And those were, I think, my February books. But I'll go in here and explain it to you. So my first book for March was Butcher Baker, A True Account of a Serial Killer by Walter Gilmour. And this was our March True Crime Book Club. So if you didn't know, I am one half of the owner of a book club, which is called A True Crime Book Club, period. Mel, my other partner, her Instagram, her Bookstagram is listed below. GingerGonzoReads. So go check her out. Go follow her on BookTube. And I also want to give a little shout out right now. A little shout out. Anyway. So I am a huge fan of a channel called The Adventures of Zach and B. And Zach is a guy that I became friends with, I don't know, several years ago. He encouraged me to do a coming out story on my main channel, my Peter Monn channel. And he, in the last few years, has gotten married. And his husband, Alistair, has started a BookTube channel. And I love Alistair's videos so much. Now, I am not somebody that reads fantasy. He reads a lot of fantasy. And if you love fantasy, you'll love his videos. But if you watch their videos, they're so endearing as a couple that I'm just so enjoying watching Alistair's videos. And he's just so honest and genuine, and he's got videos all over the place on his BookTube channel of different kinds of videos. So I will link his channel below. Go check it out. I think it's called Alistair Reviews It. I think that's what the channel is called. So anyway, and he also has movie reviews and stuff like that he does. So go check him out. And they're just a really sweet couple, and I think really good role models actually for the LGBT community. And yeah, I just enjoy watching all of their videos on all of their channels. So anyway, go check out Alistair's BookTube channel. I will link it below. So hey, Alistair, how are you? And so let's get into this. So the first book that I read was the Butcher Baker book. Oh my God, such a great book for the book club. Our book club snaps tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are having our live stream discussion, and we are talking about Molly's Game, which is by Molly Bloom. And it was about the woman that ran the largest private poker stakes game in the country. And it is a really good story. The movie is actually on Netflix if you just want to watch the movie. And it's with Jessica Chastain. And you can watch the movie and then you can come over and participate in the live stream tomorrow if you want to. But we would prefer if you read the book, but it's a little late now. It's actually a short book. It's really not too long, which I thought was interesting because the movie is like 2 hours and 20 minutes long. But that's next month's wrap up. So I'm going to go on to the next book. Butcher Baker was great, and I would highly recommend it as a really good true crime novel. The only thing was it was written, I think, in 1991. Let me see. I'm almost positive it was 1991. So the way that they kind of covered 1991, November 5th, the way that they covered true crime back then and the way that they cover true crime today is different. This is a big discussion that we have every time we talk about, you know, true crime, especially like serial killers, which we're starting the summer of serial killers next month. We're doing an entire month of Eileen Wuornos next month. But we talk a lot about how the victims are handled in the books, and are they treated with grace, and are they acknowledged and their lives talked about, because we feel like that's really important in talking about true crime today. Okay, and then this is what happened, and I don't know if these were like February books or March books, but I listened to 2 books that were, what do you call them? They were like live performances on Audible of those 6 Audible picks that you got. And when I put it in my Goodreads originally, it allowed me to, but now it says not a book. So I don't know if it was like they consider that a book or they don't consider. It's so stupid. There's a whole bunch of people out there that are like, Audible is not a book anyway. Every time like I see that, I'm just like, I'm now being judged by how I read a book. You know what I mean? Don't judge a book by its cover. But anyway, it's like whatever. The next book, by the way, I just have to, well, maybe I'll do that in a video tomorrow. I can do a little haul video, because I've hauled some books recently. Books I purchased on Amazon. I bought the book House of Leaves, at a recommendation by Dane, who watches my vlog channel. Have you guys heard about this book, House of Leaves? It just came, it's sitting literally right over there. I can see it right there. It's huge, it's like massive. But I'm so excited about reading this book. It has a weird history. So anyway, there's like a whole cult following around it. Okay, let's get into this. The next one I read is Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. This book I gave 5 out of 5 stars. Okay, so let me, real quick, read you the synopsis. For years, rumors of the Marsh Girl have haunted Barkley Cove, a quiet town on the North Carolina coast. So in late 1969, when handsome Chase Andrews is found dead, the locals immediately suspect Kaya Clark, the so-called Marsh Girl. But Kaya is not what they say. Sensitive, intelligent, she has survived for years alone in the marsh that she calls home, finding friends in the gulls and lessons in the sand. Then the time comes when she yearns to be touched and loved. When 2 young men from town become intrigued by her wild beauty, Kaya opens herself to a new life until the unthinkable happens. Perfect for fans of Barbara King's Lover and Karen Russell, Where the Crawdads Sing is at once an exquisite ode to the natural world, a heartbreaking coming-of-age story, and a surprising tale of possible murder. Owens reminds us that we are forever shaped by the children we once were, and that we are all subject to the beautiful and violent secrets that nature keeps. So I had a conversation with my husband after this book, and I said, I think this is my new favorite book. And he said, even more so than To Kill a Mockingbird? And I said, yeah, I think it is. This book is so beautifully written. And what's interesting about it was I had it in my Audible library for like 3 years, or 2 years. I got it as soon as it came out, and because everybody was talking about it. And just recently I was talking to my cousin, who she never used to read, and now she reads all the time. And she was like, have you read Where the Crawdads Sing yet? And I said, no. And she goes, Peter, you've got to read that book. And I think it's because I always kind of thought it was going to be like Nell with Jodie Foster, you know? And it isn't. It totally isn't. It's not that at all. Not that that was a horrible movie or anything, but it's so fantastic. It's so much more than you could ever imagine it would ever be, that even if I told you everything that happens in the book, it's still so much more than that. So it's beautifully written. Sometimes I just was mesmerized by the prose that was written in the book, and just the effortless way that the words were just thrown together. I mean, it just is so beautiful. It's so beautiful. Even to the very end. The ending is such a magical ending, and the only way I can compare it is if you ever watched Lost, and like the very last episode of Lost, where everybody was like, they either loved it or hated it. It's very similar to that. I thought the ending to Lost was perfect, and I thought this was a perfect ending as well. So trust me, you will not be disappointed. If you have thought about reading this book and have put it off, go read it. Go read it now. All right, so I gave that a 5 out of 5. The next book that I read was Ferris Beach, which was a reread for me. Jill McCorkle is a writer that I loved way back when I was in college, and she wrote several books at the time. I had first read Ferris Beach. I think I saw it on it was on at Borders bookstore, and it was perfect books for the beach, and I bought it and read it and just was mesmerized with the story. And so then I went on and I read a couple of her other books, and for a class, a creative writing class of mine, it was like a jazz poetry class, I think. We had to write to an author and tell them why they inspired us. And she was a professor at the time at University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, or Hollins College, or something like that. I can't remember. And I wrote her, and she wrote me back. I have the letter downstairs in my basement. And but anyway, she wrote me a 2-3 page letter, and I just was amazed that she took the time out to write me. So I reread this book. It didn't have the impact on me that it did back then. I still gave it 5 out of 5 stars. It's a tragic story. It's about 2 girls that live next door to each other in the South, and basically it's them growing up. It's basically their years in high school together and things that happen with their parents. And it's not a young adult novel in any, I don't know who keeps on calling me, texting me. It's not a young adult novel in any way whatsoever. It is definitely an adult novel. It's about adult topics and things that are happening. So, yeah, but it's just a fantastic book. Okay, let's see. The next, I'm in a group text right now, so the phone's going to continue to bang in the background. Okay, so I had to stop it because my phone keeps on beeping on my computer. My texts go off and all that stuff. So anyway, okay, the next book that I read was The Handmaid's Tale. Oh my God. I did not know what to expect from this book. Now, the book came out in 1998, and this has been on my TBR for literally 20 years, And I remember reading some of Margaret Atwood's short stories when I was in college, but I didn't know much more about her than that. And I had really no point of reference to reading this book of what it was going to be about, except for the TV show on Hulu, which I really wanted to watch, but I didn't want to watch until I had read the book, because I knew I wanted to read the book. And I also wanted to read the sequel, which is called Testaments, which she just put out last year. I already have that one as well, but I haven't read it yet. But I really, really, really wanted to watch the TV show, so I wanted to read the book. So I started the book, and I was absolutely, absolutely mesmerized. The book was so fantastic, so beautifully written. It was just, I don't know, I had heard different things about the TV show from different people. And I remember at the time talking to my friend Tanya, and she was like, I don't know that you're going to want to read this book right now. Everything that's going on with us not being able to leave our houses and things like that, I think it's going to it could freak you out a little bit. And it didn't do that at all. I was completely fine with reading the book. It was definitely a thriller, and it was very fast paced. But, I could do, an entire 2-hour discussion about what I thought about The Handmaid's Tale and how it fits into our society and what it says about our society and all of that. But I don't want to get into a long discussion about it. I actually would love to do a side-by-side discussion with somebody else that has read it and what they thought, because I think that it's more of a book to have a discussion about than just to give one person's opinion about it, if that makes sense. It was phenomenal. If you have never read it, you have to read The Handmaid's Tale. It is unbelievable. And I will say, the first season of the show sticks very closely to the book, and a little bit of the second season. I'm not that far into the second season. We're halfway through, I think. Maybe a couple episodes in. But the first season sticks very, very closely, but there's a lot that has changed about it. In the TV show, Moira has a huge part. In the book, she doesn't have as big of a part. So they kind of do a lot of that. There's a lot that's different about the book than there is about the movie. So you could watch the TV show and then read the book, and you would get a completely different take off of it. But it is very close to it. It is very, very close to it. I think the TV show has done an amazing job. It's so beautifully filmed, and it's kind of slow. At first, I was kind of this is kind of slow, because the book, if you've read the book, is very fast. It's fast-paced. You're never bored, and it hops back and forth a lot between the past and the present. So the book, it feels very fast. In the TV show, it seems very slow. It feels like there's a slow pacing to it. But after I got kind of used to it, I was like, this is just absolutely filmed so beautiful. So, all right. So the next one that I read, I gave that 5 stars as well. The next one that I read is In 5 Years by Rebecca Serle. This book was getting all kinds of recommendations on Audible. I mean, it was like it just came out, literally just came out March 10th, 2020. And it was like supposed to be like the best romance novel, and everybody was talking about it. It was getting all these great ratings on here. It currently has 20,522 ratings, and that's a lot for a month. And it has a current rating of 3.94. I gave it 4 stars. It was cute. It wasn't like, right now, like I'm like, until I read the synopsis, like like it's starting to slowly come back to me. Now, yeah, I know what it's about now, but like, it's not a book that just every day I go, oh, you should read in 5 years. And that's kind of how, like, I really decide at the end of the year, like, what books really stood out to me. Like, to this day, like, Murder at the Mistletoe Manor is, like, that's a book I would recommend to somebody. And even though maybe I didn't give it 5 stars, like, the fact that it had that kind of impact on me and I still think about it today, to me, shows, like, what a great book that was, or what a fun read that was. And just because a book's not a 5-star doesn't mean that it didn't necessarily have an impact on me or wasn't a great book, you know what I mean? But anyway, this book was okay. Hold on a second. It's now out of, oh my gosh. It's out of all my, I went out of all my books. I gotta go back in here. But it's called In 5 Years. I want to read the synopsis so I don't have to. Don't you hate, oh, there it is. Don't you hate Goodreads sometimes? I mean, I love Goodreads. It's like my favorite social media app, but sometimes it's like so slow and loading. Okay, here it is. Oh, it's got a really long thing. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? When type A Manhattan lawyer Danny Cohan is asked this question at the most important interview of her career, she has a meticulously crafted answer at the ready. Later, after nailing her interview and accepting her boyfriend's marriage proposal, Danny goes to sleep knowing she is right on track to achieve her 5-year plan. But when she wakes up, she's suddenly in a different apartment with a different ring on her finger and beside a very different man. The television news is on in the background and she can just make out the scrolling date. It's the same night, December 15th. But 2025, 5 years in the future. After a very intense, shocking hour, Danny wakes up, again, at the brink of midnight, back in 2020. She can't shake what's happened. It certainly felt much more than merely a dream, but she isn't the kind of person who believes in visions. That nonsense is only charming coming from free-spirited types like her lifelong best friend Bella. Determined to ignore the odd experience, she files it away in the back of her mind. That is, until 4.5 years later, when by chance, Danny meets the very same man from her long-ago vision. Brimming with joy and heartbreak, In 5 Years is an unforgettable love story that reminds us of the power of loyalty, friendship, and the unpredictable nature of destiny. Okay, so this book is really, really short, first of all. I think the Audible version was like 6 hours and 30 minutes or something like that, and I listened to it like in a day and a half. Not even, I mean, it didn't even take me that long. I mean, I don't listen to that much Audible. I listen to like an hour or two a day. It was good. It was a romantic comedy is really what it is. And maybe more than that. You know, like how like the romantic comedies with like Julia Roberts back in the day, and I can't think of that guy, what's his face, you know, like Notting Hill. I love those. But you know how they'd always have kind of like the serious ending at it? Like that's very much how this was. I mean, it had a very serious turn at the end that I really, to be honest with you, I did not see coming. And I don't think if you read this book, you could see the twist or the turn. You really couldn't see it before it happens. So I think that's what's enjoyable about it. It is a very easy read. It's not super deep. It's not anything that's going to make you be like, oh my god, this was the greatest book I ever read in my entire life. But it's a nice escape. It's a good escape book. If you like romance, you will love this book. I'm just going to tell you that right now. And Danny's a real interesting character. She's kind of a fun character to read about. But anyway, I give that one 4. And then the last book that I read was Rolling in the Deep. I wanted to read something short, and it was Rolling in the Deep by Mira Grant. Okay, so this is actually, like if you know how like on Goodreads they have like 0.5 or 1.5, this is the book before the first book, okay? And this is what it's about. When I literally listened to this book, it was like 3.5 hours. I listened to it like in the kitchen while I was cooking one night and like doing laundry around the house and stuff. And it was really good. Well, how many stars did I give it? I gave it 4 stars. It was really good for like a prequel. When the Imagine Network commissioned a documentary on mermaids to be filmed from the cruise ship at Argadas, they expected what, I mean, it just is so bad from the very beginning that you have to kind of love it, right? They expected what they had always received before, an assortment of eyewitness reports that proved nothing, some footage that proved even less, and the kind of ratings that only came from peddling imaginary creatures to the masses. They didn't expect actual mermaids. They certainly didn't expect those mermaids to have teeth. This is a story of the Atargatis, lost at sea with all hands. Some have called it a hoax. Others have called it a maritime tragedy. Whatever the truth may be, it will only be found below the bathypelagic zone in, I don't know how I just said that word. I'm so impressed. Below Zone in the Mariana Trench and the depths are very good at keeping secrets. Okay, this book was spooky. It just was spooky. And I really want to read the sequel. I think I actually might just listen to the sequel next because I'm almost done with my other book. I think it's called The Deep or something like that. Hold on a second. What is the next book in the series called? Into the Drowning Deep. And it's long. And it has an average score of 4 stars. Let's see. 4.03 stars, 11,000 views. This is like an older book. Oh no, it's 2017. I might read that. This is the other thing too, is I have all these Mira Grant books like Feed and all that kind of stuff. Parasite, I think, is another one, but I haven't read any of them, so I wanted to see if I really liked it, and I really like her writing, and like it's really like, it's just like right out of the gate, here we go, you know? I can even remember what I was cooking that night. Mac and cheese and a peanut butter sandwich. But anyway, it was really, really a fun read. So you should check it out if you like different stuff. I love anything like under the water. Like, you know, my biggest fear is sharks, but I love to read books that are like about sharks and underwater things and whatever. And mermaids. Oh my God, I love mermaid books. But these were different kinds of mermaids, I will tell you that. So anyway, let me know what you think about those books. What did you read in the month of March? Put it in the comment section below. I've already read 8 books for April. I think I have. Hold on a second. Let's see. I have read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, 8 and then 9. I'm almost done. So I'll have read at least 9 books for April. Go Peter. Go Peter. Hit 100. Hit 100. People always ask me, they're like, why does it matter if you read 100 books in a year or not? I'm like, it doesn't, but it's like a personal goal. And they're like, yeah, but aren't you taking the fun out of reading? I'm like, it's the same thing as like people like, you know, wanting to run marathons. You know, it's like, I want to hit 100 bucks. If you know, you know. If you understand, you get it, right? Like, anyway. What's your goal? Put your goal in the comment section below. I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.